Welcome to Digital Hospitality. I am your host, Sean Walchef. This is a Cali BBQ media production. One of our ongoing thesis, our deepest thesis. If you are new to this show, welcome. We believe that all businesses need to be digital first. This is the year 2023. All businesses not only need to be digital first, but they also need to be in the hospitality business. Now, we turned our barbecue restaurant into a media company, leveraging technology that we have in our hands. One of the coolest things about this show is that I get to meet founders of all different types of companies that are helping business owners with the internet. It's crazy to think that in 2023, I still have conversations today with business owners who don't believe in the internet. Now, I say that with tongue in cheek, knowing that everyone does believe in the internet, but their actions don't back that up. The things that they do with their website, the things that they do in their tech stack, they don't back up their action, the words that come out of their mouth. So we know that the people that listen to this show, you guys are true internet believers. That's why you're always looking for the latest and greatest. Today, I have David Joseph, the co-founder of Davo by Avalara. Davo is a one-stop shop for tax automation. I wish I had found Davo back in 2008, back when we first opened Cali Barbecue, but we're going to get into not just tax, but we're going to get into David's background because he is a restaurateur, a hospitality evangelist at heart, and he's been on this digital hospitality journey, whether he knew what he was calling it or not. So David, welcome to the show.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Sean. Great to be here. You know, so much of what you just said is so relevant, and it just makes me think back to like my early days in the restaurant.
Yes.
You know, and our restaurant was, we did 6 renovations of our restaurant over 15 years. So we were like constantly expanding. We grew from 25 seats to 160 seats.
Wow.
Over that time. And we just took over storefronts and continually grew. So we were really progressive in trying to expand the restaurant, and often got ahead of ourselves on things. But what comes to mind is I was actually the very first restaurant in New Jersey to have open table.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, you're an early adopter.
Like, talk about early technology.
Yes.
You know? Like, I remember the guys coming in and running a DSL line into the restaurant. This was like probably 99, 2000, like somewhere around there. And we were at the New York Restaurant Show, and my manager comes over. He's like, "You got to see this, man. These guys have our reservation book online. Like, people can make reservations online, you know." And my manager was this kind of computer geek guy. He was an economics major, you know, and he would change prices of specials during the night based on how they were selling. You know,
dynamic pricing,
you know, and so he was great, but he looked at the reservation book and he's like, "This is exactly what we have on paper."
Yes.
So people can use it online. So talk about being ahead, you know, really not visionary, but we were always looking for ways. You know, for us, the challenge of the reservation book was someone would take a reservation when it was on just a clipboard. He could erase it and make a 4-top, a 6-top. You know, and you know, the books, it's really scientific as to how the flow in the kitchen and how many tables, how many chairs do you have, you know? And so we looked at this and said, you know, if we can track our customers and say, like, add 2 more reservations a month or something, 2 more 4-tops a month at our per head, per seat count, we'll pay for it, you know? And I remember standing there with Craig, our former manager, and he's like, "Holy shit, look at this. Someone just made a reservation from their car." You know, that was like the real early, like Lincoln or Cadillac had this connection and you could make an online reservation. Like, this was just like mind-blowing, amazing to us, eye-opening, absolutely. And that was the real beginning of it. And, you know, who was before Open Table? Nobody.
I mean, that's what excites me the most. That's why we believe so much in this show. I mean, we've been putting it on since 2017, and still in 2023, you know, I got asked recently to do an article for 7 Shifts, one of our tech partners in our tech stack. And it was just about our technology journey. And so much of why we believe in this show is because so much technology has come into our lives into our businesses, and what do we do with that technology? You know, and
Right.
when we get back to the basics of being an entrepreneur and being in the hospitality business and opening up a restaurant, bring me back to Blue Sky Cafe, you know, your first restaurant. Bring me back to 1989, because you know that's the edge of the entrepreneurial cliff where you said, okay,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
want to do. Well,
Right.
why restaurants? Why did you open up Blue Sky Cafe?
So I was not trained in the restaurant business. You know, it was like this sort of serendipity. You know, the long and short of it was, I I had been to a lot of events. I was trained as a musician, classically trained musician. I was in an orchestra, went on strike.
Juilliard School?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Yale. You
And
know,
Yale. Yes.
and I, and nobody, as a friend of mine says, nobody told you about the Lance part of freelance, you know. and 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 I had this love of food. I'd been all over Europe, ate great food, in these small little French bistros in Italy. And I came back here and I was like, God, look at the crap people are putting out for catering. You can do that. I can do that. I mean,
Yeah.
this is not hard. And I had an event. I did one event, and someone it was there who was at a big law firm. And he's like, I want you to come cater at our law firm. Can you do this? And can you do this? And before I knew it, we were doing all this catering, and I didn't know it. We knew nothing about what we were doing.
Yep.
And I was contracting with another caterer to do it. And eventually, at a certain point in time, it was just like, we got to do this ourselves. And I found this little hole in the wall place that was empty. It had sat empty. We moved into it. We were doing catering out of there. I hired a chef. I raised a little bit of money, like 15 grand,
Do you
flying
remember
totally.
the pitch? Do you remember what
Oh
you
yeah, it was like, I have this contract with this law firm, we're gonna rock it. And
yeah.
they want us to do vending. They wanted us to put in vending
Uh
machines. So we put in a food vending machine that we made all the food for.
wow.
It was all subsidized, and the employees paid $2.50 for a meal, and we
Wow.
billed them the difference. And so I had a little bit of a footing, a little bit of cash flow, and we ended up doing the vending for almost 10 years, like a
Wow.
Coke, chips, food, and we ended up with two big law firms, and we did it for it. They subsidized it. But the space, one day I'm in our space, and the goal was, the original vision was we would have this catering business and then a retail store. And I'm sitting there one day and then looking up at the ceiling. I'm like, shit, we're paying rent on 20-foot ceilings here. This is
Yeah.
crazy. We could put a second floor in
Yep.
and open a restaurant. And that's what we did. We ended up putting in this loft that expanded it from 10 seats in a little cafe into 28 seats, hired this chef. And on a Friday afternoon, he's like, we were maybe like 3-4 months in, and he says, I got to go to the bank to cash my check. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And he goes to the bank, cashes check, and I'm looking at my watch, 3:00, 3:30. No chef, no chef.
Oh
And we
no.
got a book full of reservations. Like, it
Oh
was a hit
no.
from the first day,
Yeah.
And I had a friend who was a waitress from day one till the day we closed. 18 years, she was a waitress for us.
Incredible.
And Patty says to me, "What are we gonna do?" And I'm like, I'll cook. How hard? This isn't rocket science. Come
How
on,
hard can it
you
be?
know.
Yeah.
And the kitchen was a freaking disaster. It was
Of course.
totally a disaster, And we ended up hiring somebody else, and I and I learned my way around the kitchen, and I figured it out. And we grew to the next level. We took over the next storefront. We went from 28 seats to 40 seats to 60 seats. And the catering business was growing too. And eventually we took on another room. We called it the ballroom, and it was a
Yep.
banquet room. And so we were that equation of like, 90 seats a la carte with like 60, 70 seats of banquet. And so that's been a formula. That was a real formula for a lot of places in New York. We were
Sure.
20 miles from Midtown, and we were a BYO restaurant. So we didn't have the advantage of liquor
Yep.
to support us. We made 100% of our revenue on food, coffee, and bottled water. That was it.
Bottled water.
That was
There you
it.
go.
We weren't selling a beer. We weren't
Yep.
selling martinis. We were selling food, coffee, and bottled water. That was it. And we did 6 days a week, brunch on Sundays. We ran, 28% food costs. which we had to
Impressive.
run
How were
because
you calculating your food cost at the time?
so here's how we did food costs. You know, we ran an Excel sheet. As I said, I had this economics major who was our manager. He had these charts all over the wall and would check stuff. And so I made a chart for the kitchen. And it was an Excel sheet, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every vendor we bought from. And we would track every penny we spent every day. At the end of the day, I'd go to the POS. How much money did we earn today? And what I eventually learned was what we're buying, it's the proportion, it's real food costs. You know, what did we spend and what did we earn?
Yeah.
And this is not changed. I always tell restaurant owners, look, man, you need to know this number on a daily basis. You did not buy food today from Cisco, from Restaurant Depot. You invested. You made an investment. And what was the return on investment of this food for you? And you know, when you say to someone, what are your food costs? Last month, my bookkeeper told me we were running about, like, what? You know, what about the guy walking out the door with a roast beef in his bag? You know, you need to know your food costs every single day. You need to know every penny you spend, what does it earn? You know, and my accountant used to say to us, like walk me through this. And I would say, well, we sell a lot of duck. And so my meat guy was like, why are you buying duck breast? Why aren't you buying whole ducks? You will save so much money buying whole duck. And I'm like, yeah, but it's so much like work butchering. And he said, not if you really can do it and utilize everything. And so we served duck breast. We served duck confit. We served fur feather stock. So we had feather stock, you know, all our chicken, and at the end of the day, I trained one of my prep guys just to break down ducks, and man, boom, boom, boom. You know, and so we were making on just the stock, you know, we'd serve a consomme. We're paying for the entire thing. The rest of it was free. The rest of it was all profit. Lobster, you're making lobster bisque out of the bodies, the tail and the claw meat where everybody wants. It becomes, you know, and this is how you get the 28% food cost. So we became very, very, not scientific, but it was still on a clipboard, you know?
But that's I love that story, and I love those stories, and the people that listen to this, you know, whether you're in the restaurant business or you're a small business owner, all of it matters. You know, what we're talking about is data points that we have in our business that before you would need a pen and paper and the know-how to write this stuff down and then get it all together and also run your business. But now, because of the internet, because of cloud computing, because of all these tools, these technologies that we have, we can actually run our business and figure out how to grow our business, how to be more profitable instead of doing all these archaic tasks that used to be very cumbersome. I mean, just from online reservations to, you know, why you created Davo. I mean,
well, think about payroll. Think about payroll.
Bring me to payroll. Tell me about doing payroll.
So payroll, I remember, you know, the punch cards. Okay.
Of course.
Okay. Yeah. And you know, on every Wednesday, my bookkeeper Claire would come in. She'd take all the punch cards at 9 a.m. And at 12 noon, she'd come upstairs and she'd say, you know, all the cards are ready to be called in, but this person didn't punch out.
Yes.
You know, so when they come in tonight, I need you to ask them, what day did they punch out?
Yeah. Do you remember what time you punched out?
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy.
And then, you know, Thursday, she'd be on the phone, you know, office door closed, calling in payroll, calling in tips to ADP. Friday afternoon, you know, 3 o'clock, the ADP guy would come walking through the door, give me an envelope. I'm signing all the paychecks, you know, on the cooking line for the managers to hand out up front. Think about that. So just think about the labor that went into that. How many hours of Claire's time, you know, the bookkeeper's time, calling, all that. Okay, here's today. You walk in, you walk up to Toast, you walk in 7 shifts. Boom, I signed in. Okay. And now it says, oh, your shift doesn't start for 15 minutes. Oh, so it won't let you clock in.
Correct.
Or, hey, I'm running 20 minutes late. Can you clock me in? You know, you can't do that anymore because it's taking a picture of your face like Clover.
Yeah.
So you have, first of all, you have all of that that's saving you on that side. Next, it gives you the report. Do you approve to this week's payroll? You know, and you either yes, no, you do a quick review, send, boom, done. You don't sign any checks, direct deposit into everybody's bank.
Yeah.
You know, okay, so you took what was maybe 3-4 hours
Correct.
of labor and you've reduced it to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, and this is Davo. This is exactly what Davo is. You know, I walked out of the kitchen and I said one day, why can't someone do sales tax the way ADP does payroll? Why can't someone do this? Sales tax sucks. It sucks.
Sales tax
It
sucks.
adds nothing to the bottom line of your business. Zero. Someone tells me, oh, I use it for working capital. God bless. If you can manage that, go for it, man. But let me tell you something. The first time you miss that payment, all that working capital that you used, you just paid so much in penalties and interest. It is so not worth using it. Go get a credit card with a line of credit on and just use a line of credit, or get a line of credit from your bank. Do not use the state's money.
Yeah.
You know, so we were constantly, as I mentioned, we did 5 renovations. Each of those renovations are, you know, what it costs to do this. You know, you're undercapitalized, you're flying by the seat of your pants. Over, you know, I used to say, what do you triple the time, double the money, triple the time, you know, for any kind of kitchen, or the other way around, double, you know, whatever it is. But it's always takes longer and costs more than you think. And you know, we'd get behind on sales tax, and the holidays would come around and we'd get caught up, you know, and this was a constant for us. And one day our state auditor, I was on a first name basis with him, Jim Donnellan, our tax auditor, walks in the back door and says, you know, you owe me $80,000. And I'm like, what? You know, I haven't paid you. And he says, well, you haven't paid us in 4 months. And I'm like, yeah, but there's no way we owe you 80,000.
Yeah.
And he said, I noticed you did a renovation. And I was like, well, how'd you come up with the number? He said, well, I went in and I talked to your hostess and I got a menu from her. She was kind enough to give me the menu. And I sat in my car on a Saturday night and I counted all the people going into your restaurant. And then I took an appetizer, entree, dessert, number of people, 7 nights a week, 4 months. You owe me 80 grand. I'm like, that's bullshit. Forget, you can't. First of all, not every night's a Saturday night. Not everybody has an appetizer, entree, dessert. You know, and I went down the whole list and he just looked at me and he said, prove it. And he had every right to do that. And he was like, oh, and by the way, I'll be back in 2 weeks to collect, you know, 20 grand or I'm going to shut you down. So we adjusted the menu. There was a lot of pasta for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, high margins. And we got it paid. But at the end of the day, we owed like 30 grand. It was about, we used to pay about 8 grand a month in sales tax, but it was a constant struggle. And at that point, I had a new manager. And
what year was this?
This was like 99, 2000.
2000, when the internet ended the earth, when Y2K happened.
Exactly. I remember that. It's all just kept crashing down. Yeah. And we did 2 seatings that night. I totally remember it.
There you go.
So my manager, she's far smarter than me. Now my wife, at that time, she said to each of our shift managers, at the end of your shift, I want you to take the sales tax line from the register, take the cash out, put it in an envelope, mark the date, and you're going to drop it in this safe. And so we were doing a daily set aside of our sales tax out of cash each day, and had that discipline. And I was looking at my cash register or our point of sale, and I was looking at the credit card terminal. And I was like, look, I have a merchant cash advance. If my bank can take 5% of every New York Times credit card that comes through here, why can't you take 7% of my credit card sales and just put it aside? I'll be 80% there at the end of the month automatically. I won't have to do anything. I'll be there 80%. I can come up with the other 20% of sales tax. And I went to the bank, Chase Manhattan Bank, at that time. I think it's Chase is still around. I went to Chase and I said, can you guys do this with my credit cards? Can you take 7% and just put it in a separate account? I don't want to see it. And they're like, no way. Nope, can't do that. And little did I know at the time, they couldn't do that. And they still can't do that.
Wow.
But the idea just stuck with me. And my accountant at the time said, you know, David, you have like lots of ideas. He goes, this is your best one.
Finally, you hit a home run.
You finally have a good one. So I went to one of my customers and who was a friend of ours. And I said, listen, man, I have this idea. I think it's pretty good. And, you know, I think that there's an idea here of putting sales tax aside from credit card receipts and automating this. And so he said, let me do some research. And so this was 99 and like nobody was even, he comes back, he's like, nobody's even talking about sales tax. This is like, there's nothing out there.
Yep.
And you know, I knew he did pretty well in what he did. He worked for Chase. And so I figured, well, he works for a bank, he must know, you know. And it turns out he has no clue. He was a currency trader. So, but he had no clue. But we became partners. And he said, you know, unless we actually own this process, we'll never go anywhere, because some big organization, like some bank you're gonna go in and say, I have this idea, they're gonna, you know, and they'll steal it.
Yep.
If it's good. So we went to a patent attorney in New York that he knew that did some patent work, and they were like, this is not patentable. No. So we went to another one who did some other stuff. And this guy actually had done, the head of the IT department there had done a lot of work for like on process patents for electronics companies. And he listened to us and he said, this is totally patentable. We think this is patentable. But you have to solve the cash sales. Basically what I was saying is set aside the sales tax from credit card receipts, you know?
Yep.
But what about cash? What about the cash sales? And, you know, today you have places that are digital only. So, but it's moving that way, but there was always cash. It was always 20%. And we're walking down the street in New York and my wife says, you know, we weren't married yet, but I said, she's the one with all the brains. And she says, well, just take the cash out of the credit card receipts. Okay. So this was the patent. And we ended up getting the patent 10 years later in 2011.
10 years. Wait,
10 years.
I just want people to understand how long this company from birth of the idea to the actual patent. This is just
that
patent.
was 10 years. And at that point, we still knew nothing. We still knew nothing. But the patent says, you know, you have 100% of sales, and your sales tax on 100% of sales is, you know, 8% of total sales. We'll just call it $80. That's cash, credit, gift card, check, all your sales. But we're going to take that $80 out of your credit card receipts.
Yep.
Okay. So that was the patent. When we got the patent in 2011, we started actually doing this. We realized it's impossible to do that. Well, it's not impossible, but credit card companies just don't want to do it. They can't. They haven't built the technology. They built the technology to take 7% of Visa, MasterCard.
Yes.
But not 7% of total sales. And so it becomes a little more complicated. So we actually don't do that process today. Certain companies like Square, because they control the card receipts, could do it, but they'd be infringing on the patent.
Yep.
Stripe, they could do it, but they'd be infringing on the patent. But we ended up just doing a debit from the merchant's bank account to do this. And what's so interesting with technology is the stars aligned for us, essentially. We got the patent.
Yes.
But there was no way to use it. We needed data. The only place that we thought we could get data was from like QuickBooks, Intuit.
Yep.
And we ended up at a trade show. We were trying to educate ourselves on merchant processing and all this stuff. We ended up at the RSPA show in Las Vegas, retail suppliers. And these are the guys who sell cash registers, essentially, POS systems. And there are these two guys there, Mark Schultz.
The pre-POS.
Pre-POS. No, yeah.
Cash registers.
No, it was the very beginning.
Yeah.
This was like 2013. We meet these two guys, Mark Schultz, John Beatty, and they have this POS called Clover. And they say to us, you know, we're starting this POS and it's like your phone. You have an app on your phone for tracking your steps and for, whatever. This POS, you'll put an app on there for a pizza shop. You'll put an app on there to schedule for a hair salon. Each one you'll be able to customize this cash register. And we were like, oh, great. And they're like, well, what do you guys do? And we're like, we automate sales tax. And we knew nothing. We had no idea what we were doing. And they were like, oh, build us an app. We're like, okay. So we were one of the very first apps on Clover, and then Clover got bought by Pfizer, and we got sort of rolled into that. And we're now one of the top selling paid apps that people actually have to pay for on Clover, as well as a bunch of the other POS. So, we did other integrations, and we totally flew by the seat of our pants. We went out, we raised money, we were making it up, we were figuring it out as we went along. And then we went live 2015.
Do you remember the first investor check that you got? What was bring me back?
Oh yeah. So as I mentioned, my partner did pretty well. He had a lot of friends with money. Our initial round, we raised about 1.2 million bucks. Just friends and family. We never.
Who was the first? Do you remember?
Just a friend, just friends of my partner. I have a cousin who came.
Did they believe in you, or did they believe in the product? Because it
was all him and me.
It's like the jockey and the horse, right?
Totally. We had a friend. We were out to dinner the other night with a friend of ours, and they were like, "We knew nothing about what you were doing. We want to put some money in it," and they've done really well with it. That we wanted to invest in you. We believe in you. You were passionate about it. It sounded like a good idea. There were so many times going through the chasm, as they call it in Startupville. You can. It's Owen and my partner used to say. It was up to us to kill it. It was ours to kill, and we survived. We made some bad decisions, of course. Everybody does. And
was it harder to start the restaurant or harder to start the tech company?
Oh, tech company, way harder. Way harder. I had no idea the amount of resources that are required. Like just staggering. I mean, I started a restaurant on 15 grand, and then flew by the seat of our pants.
Yeah.
You're talking million, like the amounts of money are just staggering, to do tech. And then, so we went live in February 2015. I still remember our first customer, I won't say who it is. It was a bagel shop.
Okay.
And at the time he signed up, he was $80,000 behind in sales tax.
No, just like you. Well, your estimate.
It's true. Through 80 grand. Yeah. And, so I knew that, people who were out there like me struggling would want this. We never doubted that we would be successful. Never for an instant doubted that there would be a need for this and that people would want it.
Well, I would argue that Davo is the most important need in the tech stack. Once you solve the cloud computing and the primary technology partner, whoever your point of sale provider is, once you solve that and you have a strong partnership, I mean, taking care of something that every single restaurant, no matter what, bagel shop, coffee shop, it's any small business, actually, any small business. This is way beyond restaurants. Yes.
Yeah. Right.
You sell something, you need to pay sales tax on it. And if you don't automate that system, it's up to you. And if you're like me and my business partner, when we first opened, it's exactly what you said in the beginning, is that we thought that money was ours until the bill came and it said, hey, you owe this amount of money. And we go, we don't have that.
Right.
You don't have that money.
You know what it is? You look at your bank account as your P&L.
Correct.
Oh, you have money in the bank? Oh, yeah, we got money in the account. Payroll this week. No problem. Yeah, well, $6 grand of that belongs to the state of California.
Yeah, what's a business owner's favorite number? Gross sales?
Yeah, right.
Gross sales doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, well,
those aren't gross sales.
A merchant once said to me, the problem with sales tax is we collect pennies and pay dollars.
Yes.
And I was like, wow, that's it. That's exactly it. You sell a $1 cup of coffee, $4, you collect 32 cents. How did 32 cents become $6 grand?
Yeah.
Explain that to me. And the states that are quarterly, that's it. It's a system designed to fail.
Quarterly is a disaster.
It's a total disaster. Complete. The merchant, it is just the worst thing going. And so anyway, 2015 we went live, continued to grow. And then
how did you get traction? Bring me back to those first. I mean, because getting your first client is a big deal. but
Yeah.
then getting one client, going live on a website and then adding a sales team eventually, like all of these
So,
things have to happen.
yeah.
How did it go down?
So our business model is never to have a sales team and
Ah,
to sell direct to our end user.
love it.
We sell through channel partners.
Love it.
So we
Makes
sell
the
through
most sense.
Clover,
Yep.
we sell through Toast, Revel. All of our point of sale partners are basically resellers of us. So our job, and what we had to learn, was we had to convince our partners of the value of Davo.
Yep.
You know, so let's just take Clover, for instance. The Clover app market, was it 400 apps? You know, this is our competition. We're fighting for screen time with all these other apps. So how important is the app that prints a fortune on your receipt compared to the app that pays your sales tax?
Yes.
Okay, what's the value? And so teams got it pretty quickly that we make that customer sticky when they are in the point of sale, which is the whole purpose of the point of sale, is to make the customer sticky to and loyal to that company. But we add that extra degree of loyalty. Oh, they do my scheduling, my payroll, my sales tax, the tech stack. What's the most important thing? I think the tech stack is become the buzzword the past year or so.
That's how you and I met.
Yeah, exactly. But that's really become the buzzword. And I always tell people, like, divide your restaurant at the counter where the cash register, where the POS sits. On one side is the front door, and on the other side is the back door. On the front door side, you're just driving customers, loyalty, gift card, specials, whatever it is, all those apps. Just think about those. What are your choices? Third-party delivery, all that's on the front door. The back door, how much of that can I get rid of? Because it doesn't make any money for you. It doesn't earn you profit, doesn't attribute to your bottom line. How much of that can I simplify, automate, reduce risk? We talked about payroll. Well, payroll is tied into schedule. So you should have a 7 shifts payroll that's tied, whether it's Gusto or Homebase, whatever there. You have a bunch of choices that are all linked together that run through the POS at the counter, but connect to the back door. Davo in there, inventory, hiring, Indeed. So a lot of these scheduling apps are now connected to Indeed or to hiring apps.
Yep.
So Caterees, Easy Cater, those apps, those are the back of your house. I mean, they're front and back. So much of this stuff now can be automated. I work with someone, it's a company called Bookkeep. And Jason Rickelson, who started Bookkeep, started Shopkeep and sold Shopkeep to Lightspeed. But he started this company Bookkeep, and he said our goal is to basically just make bookkeeping automatic.
Yes.
There isn't any reason that this is just data. It just needs to be organized, and he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. It is so hard today to run a restaurant. I couldn't imagine, like, everybody's a critic, everybody gets an opinion and they're going to put it online. We were at the very beginning of that. And God, I just hated it when people would like put shit online. It was like when you went home, did you just like write this review in your car? Like, we haven't even washed your plate yet, and you're writing a review about your meal, and so I just don't envy that, but it just get rid of the minutia of your business. How much of that can you automate? And sales tax, as you said, is just so important to get it off your plate, forget about it. I mean, the biggest challenge for me, someone said, what do you think what's the hardest part of your job? What's the biggest surprise for you in all that you've done? I said, the hardest thing is convincing a merchant they should actually use us. Like, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to pay a bookkeeper to do this? They don't want to do it either. So
yeah, I think what's exciting for me is back to how we started the show, which was talking about the belief in the internet and understanding that it's such a stupid question because the internet's all around us and in our homes, in our pockets, in our businesses, the Internet of Things. I mean, so much of this is how does it all work together? You know, how is it
Mhm.
not patchwork together? What are the true integration partners so that you can truly work on your business instead of in your business? You know, and that's what our driving force is not just for the restaurant industry, but for all small business owners. I mean,
Right.
small business owners, we have dreams to become entrepreneurs, to be our own bosses, but that dream isn't to, you know, sacrifice our health and our family and our lives, you know,
Totally.
working day in, day out so that we don't have any weekends, we don't have any vacations. That's not the dream. You know,
Yeah.
the dream
Yeah.
is to figure out how do we leverage technology, automation, and all of the things that are available to us so that we can do what we love to do, which is create. You know,
Right.
we're the original creators, business owners,
That's right.
entrepreneurs. We talk about a creator economy where people are really good at telling stories on the internet. They're very good at
Yes.
YouTube, or they're very good at podcasting or blogging. Well, the original creators are entrepreneurs, you know, and these
Absolutely.
entrepreneurs, you know, and not just for one solution, but multi solutions. You know,
Mhm.
so many of what we do is like understanding Toast is our primary technology partner. The fact that you integrate so well with Toast, and that is helps more people that are in the Toast ecosystem, 74,000 restaurants that are on Toast. It's how do we get more of those restaurants to stop worrying about sales tax?
Yeah, you have a tool. You have something
Yes.
available to you, and I hear day in and day out, third-party apps, Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, it's so hard to manage the tax because of the marketplace facilitator laws, in each state it's a little bit different. And I'm like, you use Toast. They
Yeah.
do this so well. They do
Yeah.
it so well. They came to us and said, what should we do with sales tax on these? And we were like, here's how you have to do it. This is what we need to see. You need the ability to turn sales tax on or off based on those orders going into the POS. The POS is the record of sale. And that's what they did. And it's awesome. We have so many other POSs that people just struggle because the integrations are not, they haven't paid attention to it. I mean, we had a POS company tell us, oh, we did a direct integration with Grubhub, but we didn't take into account sales tax. It's like, what are you kidding me? How could you can't just inject the order as a gross sale? It's got to be a sale with that. Welcome to our world. This is the pool we swim in.
So
So
as someone that graduated from Juilliard and someone that's graduated from Yale with an emphasis in music and that
yeah,
teaches music,
yeah.
what's the correlation between music and technology?
Oh, it's all creative. It flows through my hands. I mean, I type like crazy. My brain is connected to my fingers. I don't think, it just goes. It's the same way. You walk in the walk-in refrigerator and you walk out with an armful of stuff and you cook. You cook. You don't think about it, right? You
It's
know?
true. Yeah.
Yeah. It's. Look, I'm a horrible employee if you want me to do like a daily routine of, you know, email this, call this, follow up, blah.
Yeah.
I am not that person. You want someone to talk about and evangelize why you should do this. I mean, I'm taking on a new role now at Avalara a bit of working with states and sort
Yes.
of evangelizing. And I'm like, we don't need a sales motion to the
Correct.
state. We're not trying to sell them. We're trying to evangelize them.
Yep.
You would be so much better off and profitable in collecting sales tax, or productive in collecting sales tax, if you automated it. You know, our I looked at I was talking with one of our operations people the other day, and I said, out of all the thousands and thousands of returns we file each month, how many of them get filed without 100% of sales tax collected? Because we collect sales tax daily. We're setting
Yep.
it aside every day. But at the end of the tax period, how many out of all those thousands do we not have enough funds to send to the state? And they said about 150. Okay. So 150 out of all these thousands comes down to
It's
like
amazing.
tiny percentage, tiny. And I was thinking, how many returns don't get filed with the state, or even where they file the return without enough money? It's far greater. Like when you automate this process and you don't make it reactive, which is the current sales tax process.
Yep.
It's like, okay, we operated for a whole month. Now the state is waiting for you to send that money. We're proactive. We reach right into the bank account, take that money out. So you're not tempted to use it. We set it aside. So proactive is far better than reactive.
Speaking
You
my
know?
language, yes.
Yeah. And so
Proactive is always better than reactive.
we manage sales tax proactively. And so we're far more efficient at it. And we're trying to build a use case to the states and say, this is ridiculous. You just give Davo away to the states or give it to small
Yeah.
businesses, and you'll collect a lot more money. We'll make you far more efficient and compliant.
Well, I
So
think one of the most exciting things is understanding that the internet is everywhere. You know, we are so focused, hyper focused here in the United States, you know, especially in our own villages as restaurant owners. I care about my barbecue restaurants here in San Diego, but behind me, if you're watching this on YouTube, is a
yeah,
picture of New York City, and that's a
sure.
reminder to think big. You know,
Yeah,
my wife is from Bulgaria. When I go to Bulgaria every summer, I have conversations with small business owners, people who own clothing companies, who own bars, who own restaurants. The same conversations that I have that you and I are having about the internet, about automation, about using
sure.
digital hospitality tools so that they can work on growing their business, build more profitable businesses, doing things to make their lives better for their employees. All of this stuff matters. You know, when you think about the company that purchased Davo, now Avalara, and now the impact that Avalara can have on this global community of business owners,
Sure.
what gets you excited about that opportunity?
Well, in the United States, you have 48 states that collect sales tax. You have 13,000 tax jurisdictions.
Which
When
states
you
don't collect sales tax?
Delaware, Montana.
Delaware and Montana, really?
Yeah, so even New
Look at that.
Hampshire that has no sales tax, they have a lodging tax, restaurant lodging tax.
Okay.
Alaska does not have a state sales tax; they have a municipal tax, like so they can have it at the city level. So states, even the ones that say they don't, most of them have some sort of
Tourism tax?
yeah, it's a consumption tax. Consumers
Consumption
pay
tax. Got it.
after.
Yep.
But you look at a state, you look at some of these European countries, and they have a national sales tax. One place you pay one government entity. And people bitch about sales tax. Oh, I got to pay this. It's like, no, you're not paying it. Look, you want the firemen to show up when your restaurant's on fire. You got to pay these guys. You want teachers to show up and teach your kids. This is part of living in a civilized society.
Yep.
And everybody pays into this system. In the US, we don't have a national sales tax, but it's actually been in the news lately of a national tax.
Interesting.
I mean, it's kind of insane the way they're proposing it. It's totally regressive, and it's not. The people who make the least amount of money pay the largest proportion in taxes when you have a sales tax like that. But there are many countries around the world that have a national sales tax. And the big thing of Avalara is an e-commerce. They're really based on tax for e-commerce and cross-border. That enormously complicated. And now with companies like Amazon and shipping cross-border and stuff, this becomes more and more complex. And that's why Avalara is the global leader in this and their future of growth. They were just required by Vista Equity Partners because of the huge growth potential of Avalara. But Davo is the fastest growing, one of the fastest, if not the fastest growing business unit within Avalara. We're the smallest. We're still tiny compared to the rest, but we're growing exponentially compared to all the other businesses.
So somebody's listening to this, they're a small business owner, they're a restaurant owner, pizza owner, and they go, David, I love it. I love automation. How much does it cost and how fast can I get this? How fast can I get signed up?
You can get signed up immediately. If you go to davosalestax.com, you click on your POS integration there, enter some basic information about your business and a bank account routing number, and the app will turn itself on instantly. So if you signed up today, tomorrow morning, you're going to see today's sales tax debited from your account. It's going to happen immediately. Davo's a flat fee. It is $49.99 per rooftop. So for each location, it's $49.99. However, 27 states actually give you a refund when you pay your sales tax on time.
Wow.
So you take a state like New York, where if you are under $300,000 a quarter in revenue, you're a quarterly filer, you're going to get 5% of the tax remitted back to you up to $200 a quarter. Okay, Davo's $50 a month, so it's 150 a quarter. $200 is not a lot. It's percentage. It's like 4 grand in sales tax, in a quarter. It's not a lot. So you're going to get $200 back. So net, Davo's free in New York, and you're going to get $50 back in your pocket for coffee.
Wow.
How
is not every
don't you
restaurant,
like?
small business on Davo? How's that possible?
Yeah, what part of it? The state is subsidizing it for you. They're subsidized.
And they should. They should.
Absolutely, they should.
The states can't do what you guys, the patent that you put on this and the work that you've done. They should.
They should, absolutely. It's funny, in the state of Maine, the state runs these classes that you can go and take. The Department of Revenue runs a class on how to manage sales tax. Okay.
Really?
And they charge you $50.
Oh, really?
And it's for lunch. They feed you breakfast and lunch. I'm like, charge you. They should be paying you $50 to go to the class.
They should. So I would love to just get on part of the hardest topic. I think is probably the one that we don't talk about, which is the shame associated with sales tax and with things that we can't control as business owners. And I will be the first to let everyone know that, Corey, my business partner, when we first started, there were times when we got those bills for sales tax and we did not have the money to cover them. And we had to
I stuck at it.
We had to go and talk to our local authorities and state authorities and ask them to split up the payments because we couldn't make the payments and we wanted to stay in business. Why do you think it's such a hard topic for restaurants, for humans to talk about?
Well, so I have to tell you a funny story. We have this guy. He started after Katrina in the back of his parents' store. I'm going to give him a shout out, Maple Leaf Hamburgers, and in New Orleans.
Okay.
And they got behind on sales tax. They changed POS companies just to come to Davo, and we got them all caught up. And he told me, so they have like 5 locations now, but he told me after we started using Davo, I had to go in and renew my liquor license, and they would never let you renew it if you were behind on sales tax.
Yep.
And it was like, previously it was like the walk of shame. You would walk in, he'd pay his tax, and he goes, now I walk in there, I'm proud. It's my taxes are all paid. I just go in there and renew it. It's like this totally different feeling. So here's my take on sales tax. And this is how I felt about it when I did it. Every time I paid my sales tax, I felt like it was a dagger going into my heart.
Yes.
It was like, I'm writing a check to the state of New Jersey that's bigger than my paycheck. And what did I get for this? What did I get? I got nothing. It didn't bring me more customers, didn't buy inventory, didn't hire an employee. I got nothing. I got zilch for this. Yeah. Of course, the fire department comes when your place is on fire. But as a business owner, that's not what you're thinking. This is an emotional. It's right here in you when you have that payment. And the beauty of Davo is it gets that out of you. It goes to somebody, let somebody else worry about that. And this is the mantra within the company. We do not want to cause pain to our customers. We are here to make their lives easier. And we have said this from day one. And by putting that little bit of money aside every day, which would you rather do? $100 a day or $3 grand once a month? Yep. I'll take the $100 a day all day long, and I'll pay you to do that gladly, and this is the beauty. And this is the beauty of automation and what we do. And merchants tell us, it is such a weight off my shoulders. I don't think about this anymore. I don't worry. If you go read our reviews online, the word worry shows up in 80% of our reviews. Yeah. I no longer worry about this. And worry is stress like that in your business. Look, there are plenty of things to stress about. Stress about the wedding that's coming up that you have to cater for 500 people. Stress about that because that's a lot of revenue. Don't stress about the fact that you have to write a check for 10 grand to the state of California. You're going to have stresses in your business. but manage the stress and don't have undue. And sales tax is just one of those things. There is no reason to stress about it when there is a tool out there to automate it and make it better and easier for you.
So true. So for those of you that are listening, we like to say, my grandfather, he taught me to stay curious, to get involved, to ask for help. You wouldn't be listening to this podcast if you weren't a curious person, if you weren't trying to improve your business, and you have to get involved. So that's why every Wednesday and Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, we're on the social audio app Clubhouse. Please join us. Tell us the story of your small business. Tell us about social media. Tell us about your sales problems, your marketing problems. We've got an incredible group of leaders from all over the globe that join us in this community. So it's every Wednesday, every Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific time. That's on the app on Clubhouse. This week, I want to give a shout out to Chip Close. Chip Close is a fellow podcaster. He also was speaking with me at the Western Food Expo. That is where I first ran into David. David saw my tech stack presentation and he said, "You are already using Davo and you don't even know it." And I said, "Tell me more." And the more that I learned about Davo, the more that I realized everything that we do, everything that we believe in is digital hospitality. And Davo is a solution that solves a serious pain point that restaurant owners have, not just restaurant owners, in any business that collects sales tax, which is pretty much every business, can use automation and can use a digital hospitality tool like Davo. So David, thank you so much for your time. What's the best way for people to get signed up?
Just go to davosalestax.com.
Perfect.
And sign up from there. If you go there, if you want to learn more, if you want a demo, just scroll to the bottom of the page at the footer. It says schedule a demo. And believe it or not, you'll get my calendar.
There you go.
Schedule time with me. You want to have a chat? Happy to do it. You want to talk about how to manage your inventory and stuff like that? You know, I'm happy to share my Excel sheet. I've shared it with a lot of people, how we used to manage our food costs in the restaurant. It's a proven method. It works really, really well. So
beautiful. Well, thank you all for listening to the show. We're grateful. I'm weirdly available. If you want to ask for help, that's at Sean P. Walchef, ShawnPWalchef. That's on Instagram. It's on LinkedIn. That's on TikTok, or you can just email me, Sean@calibbq.media. Thank you so much, David, for your time. We are grateful. And we will catch you guys all next week. Thank you.
Hey, thanks everybody. Take care.